Morning, it's Friday, December 21st, a few days until Christmas. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever the word is for Kwanzaa, joyous Kwanzaa, perhaps. I'm going to do a little bit about Valkyrie of Desire, speak on the game sessions that are still happening this weekend, the short story and or culture war article that will be my next post, writing tip, and a little story time. Valkyrie of Desire was on my mind as a rewrite, going through chapter by chapter, taking the advice of some critiques to heart, expanding the personality and descriptions. And then I leaped all the way to the end, to an epilogue, to a moment that is pretty devastating for the main character and wasn't fair. And I didn't, including epilogues is like a prologue. It's optional, it's maybe, or it's usually, I would say, not advisable. I like including, okay, that's fine. No more shooting in the head or any of that kind of stuff. Okay. Epilogues are, like prologues, are optional and maybe not advisable. I'm including, or I like epilogues more than prologues because you have the complete story and then you can do a little bit more. I'm reminded of the movie AI, and a lot of people did not like the epilogue in that. I did. If I really like a story, I want to know what's the next thing. And also for this, it'll encourage interest in a second book, to continue Hilder's story. I added a prologue to Ranger of Path, the first book in the series that Valkyrie of Desire follows, because confusion, like the first chapter of Ranger of Path was just too confusing. So I needed to address that and added a short prologue. Valkyrie of Desire, I believe it's clear enough right from the start. I believe I improved my storytelling, and having an outline from the start helped out. So I've been rolling through the book, smoothing out changes that I've made, that I hadn't planned in the outline, making the characters more consistent, and I jumped all the way to the epilogue and wrote out a really cool sequence. So I think that'll help steer me more than just an outline as well. Having a final point anchor, kind of pin it down, pin on the plot and the character arc for Hilda and the story. So even though it's this Sunday, and then this Monday being Christmas Eve, I'm still planning on doing a game session. We'll see how the family feels about that, but I'm gonna push for it. I don't expect that there'll be that many players present, but I might be surprised. So if there's enough, then we'll push forward with the regular story. If not, there's plenty of alternate paths. So maybe some advice for a game master doing this kind of thing with, at least with the virtual tabletop environment, where you're playing remotely, is it's fairly easy to just have another group that's allied with the party be played by the players at a different location or pursue other interests. But the finale of the fungi caverns approaches this weekend, the next or the one after. I think things will wrapped up for the party, but that means everybody creating new characters or not. We'll see. Yeah. So my next bit for the short story, same as before, still working on bringing cool events back to the party series on that. And then I'm also thinking of doing a culture war article as it relates to my little Patreon funding attempt. Patreon has been put front and center in the culture war and is attacking free speech, is deflamming people without proper justification, even by their own rules. It's concerning, and I'll be looking into alternatives as they come into existence. There's a big problem in the industry, in the multimedia, the what's the word? Not descendants. The after mainstream media, the ones that replace them, whatever they are, or what mainstream media will become, and Silicon Valley, the political slant that they have, and how they're being activists, and just the biggest problem I have is attacking free speech, and the second biggest would probably be attacking the justice, the basic core of justice system, where you're innocent until proven guilty, or just the kind of mob vigilante justice. It's nuts. I'm 42, and when I talk to people that are younger and they think everything's hunky-dory, like for example, hate speech, it's not something that the government should make illegal, plainly. That's a core value of the United States, and people should be innocent until proven guilty. It's better to have guilty people go free, if that means keeping an innocent person out of jail. Like those two basic concepts are so core and fundamental to at least how I was raised and how I understood my culture and country. It's crazy to me when I hear differently from people all around me, and I see that manifested, like crazy as it sounds as well, see it manifested in Patreon. So I want to write about that definitely, and it's influencing my fiction as well, which is probably a safer way to manifest my concerns. Yeah, writing tip, fiction binge. So I binged last night the third season of The Travelers on Netflix, which relates to all this stuff. In that they're groups of people going back in time, trying to avoid an apocalypse, and it's done well. I normally don't like the time traveling kind of plots, but or genre of plots, but it hooked me. I hadn't watched it in a while, and then I got sucked back in. Got me to I've been a little under the weather this week, and got me to oversleep and miss jiu-jitsu today, which I needed to sleep, but I regret this morning's class would have been good. Oops. But I don't feel guilty. I shouldn't feel guilty, I should say. I do feel guilty, but I shouldn't. Fiction binge is essential for writers, I think, and whether it be reading through a whole book, reading through a series of books, watching a whole bunch of TV, whatever it is. I mean, I'm not drinking alcohol, but there's this kind of losing yourself in something, and not getting enough sleep every once in a while there's something to that kind of a reset. Now I had gotten plenty of sleep because I was under the weather the last few nights, but like there was a reason why I did the Netflix binge. I felt I needed a reset. There was a lot on my mind. I kind of wanted to. Yeah, I don't know if it's a rationalization, but my instincts are that I shouldn't feel guilty, that there's a good reason to do a fiction binge for writers. I certainly have written great things right afterwards. If only I had the time, but I will work on that later. And short story, The Bored Assassin. So I was telling Yuri, my son, a little short story last night where he wanted our roommate to be in it. So I made our housemate was yelling what he wanted to be, and he wanted to be like a dark elf assassin, basically a ninja assassin. It's like, all right. So we set this all up, and he was the bored assassin, and his thing was he would essentially poison you ahead of time, and then so the kill is done, but it takes some time, and then he would kind of play with you like a cat with a mouse, and would give you hints and riddles, kind of like the Riddler with Batman. But the deed's already done, and you don't notice it right away. Like symptoms crop up, and you're fighting off. Maybe he thinks you're win, and maybe he'll culminate it if he notices your symptoms in being captured towards the end. But this idea of a bad guy that beats you before the story starts, and the whole story essentially is figuring out that you're beaten at the very end, and then perhaps a miraculous comeback, something that the bored assassin just didn't consider. Now I'm actually thinking of this is my sleep deprived coming in. The brown oh god, what was it called? The movie where the guy gets him in the side and paralyzes him, except he was injured in that place. The guy didn't know, and so the paralyzation attack didn't work. Firefly, the movie for Firefly. Anyway, so that he could do his whole exposition, and then the good guy's like, "Oh hey, I'm injured, so it didn't work to me." This was long and rambling, and sorry about that. But am I sorry? Maybe it was like a fiction binge. This is my second universe binge. So enjoy the holidays. We'll see if this gets uploaded in time. It might be an evening upload, even though it's in the morning. Hello. So love.